the state.
Oh,
welcome into the Hustle Show Pod. I am your host today, Chris Thurston. Drew Martin Betts. Kelly in Vegas is out of office for the day. We have an exciting show coming up, the Saturday College Hoop Special, Wild Card Weekend Special. We are presented by Viva Tequila Seltzer. Viva is a refreshing and drinkable hard seltzer with 88 calories, 0 carbs, 0 sugar, and a 4.5% ABV. Viva is the perfect drink for your post-game celebrations, as it was created with the active lifestyle in mind. Our belief is to live long, live well, and live it up. Hashtag Viva Up. Special guest today, good friend of the show, Ryan Garland at GunzPicks. We are pumped to have you on, buddy. How are you?
man, I'm doing great. Just firing the guns. I'm in the building, folks. Glad to have you on the show. I've been a huge fan of the Hustle podcast. I know you guys have been on my podcast, both of you guys, and we'll definitely have you back. So I am ecstatic today. Huge slate on the board as far as college basketball goes. We have the wild card weekend starting today. I'm ready to start. Let's go.
Love it, buddy. Awesome to have you here. And we are live here in CT Sportsbook, myself and Adam Trigger. Adam Trigger, welcome in, my buddy.
It's good to be here. We're already cracking Vivas. We're going to be out watching the NFL games in a little bit. I'm on this stool. I look huge in the camera. Look like I'm looking down on CT. That's what I do anyway. But yeah, no, we're ready to go. Big day. There's a million basketball games. We'll talk about a bunch of them on the show. So let's not waste any more time. Let's get it going.
Yeah, we're going to be here for the next 35 to 40 minutes. We're going to cover some college hoops games today. I'm excited to get Guns' take on some hoops and wild card weekend. But first, we want to just do a little background with our good buddy Ryan at GunzPicks. Right, tell us, what shows are you doing right now? Where people could find you? Give yourself a little plug first.
Basically, you can find me. You can just follow me on Twitter at GunzPicks. I basically just post everything that I have on there. We started a YouTube channel this year. It's the I'm on the Dad Bods podcast with 3 of my other cohorts, the Odds Fellow, LockBets.net, and Punisher Picks. We basically are just a shoot the shit type show with some game breakdowns, and we have some of the most distinguished handicappers on gambling Twitter. 2 of them are sitting to the left of me on the screen right now that have been on the show. Also, I've actually started a GunzPicks preview NFL show that I put on the Dad Bods YouTube channel. I started it last week. I got the wild card picks posted up, so go check that out on YouTube. I posted the link in my on my Twitter page at GunzPicks, so just go check that out. And man, yeah, I'm excited. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. We love having you here. Give the people a bit of a background. How long have you been doing this, and kind of how did you get involved in the gambling world, and now kind of doing a bunch of shows? You got a lot of followers. Yep. I've been a big fan of you for a while, and much respect for you.
It's weird because I can basically track doing pool sheets for my dad when I was in 3rd grade. And I remember opening up the paper and checking out the lines and stuff like that, just trying to figure out who's going to be the favorite, and if there's a close game, and making picks that way. That's kind of how I started. Then really when I got into college, when offshore betting sites were available, I kind of started out that way. Didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't know what I know now about how to handicap a game. I would just kind of picking based on what teams I thought was good. I got to a point, I moved to Vegas. I lived there for 4 or 5 years, so I was betting there too, but I was just basically a noob, Joe Public type of guy. And I got to a point, I moved back east, and then I remember distinctly the game where I just had enough. And I said, I got to learn how to do this. It was Tennessee, Alabama. And I think I took Tennessee, and Alabama backdoored it or something like that. This is 2014. And I said, enough. And I got on my computer. I started Googling how to handicap, how to read lines. I didn't even know what a line movement was. I didn't even know what juice meant. And I didn't know what drove those numbers to go one direction or another. So once I figured that out, I started creating my own spreadsheets, creating my own system. I love college basketball. I love college football. Those are kind of my key sports. And I just started tracking everything. And after I had a good sample size, I said I might as well just start trying to do like Facebook lives with my friend, like just with my circle of friends. I did that for a year. I got a lot of positive feedback. You would be amazed how many people gamble. I was like shocked by some of the friends that were like contacting me, asking me for plays. And then I did that and I said, why don't I just try Twitter? I followed some people on Twitter. I got on and just started posting pics. I did a few videos here and there. Some guy actually recommended, he's like, you should just do some 2-minute videos. You're actually going to get some followers. I started doing that. And, you know, I just kind of shot up. And then we started making friends during the pandemic. I met Punisher Picks. I met Odds Fellow basically because during the pandemic, there was nothing to bet on. So we were like just doing KBO and capping that. And we kind of just started our own little friend group and it kind of just stemmed off from there. I started out as a guest on their podcast and then they just had me on. I think I joined up in April and it just shot up from there. And, you know, I had a college football show that I started. The first year I was getting like, you know, 1,000 to 2,000 views. And then Shark says, I want to host you. And I said, game, bet. Awesome. And so I hooked up with Shark. We had a good dynamic with one another, you know, and then it shot up to 6 to 8K views and it's just growing, you know, exponentially. And hopefully by next year we get about, you know, 10 to 12K views. And that's kind of what I want to do. I want to be the hub of just sharp breakdowns and actually just not only just give the picks, but actually teach people how I'm seeing the games. And maybe, you know, we get some other guys really, you know, kicking the book's ass and learning how to do it like I did. So that's kind of that's kind of the GunzPicks story, really.
All right. Well, we're glad to have you here, and we're going to get into things. Wanted to also, we'll say it again at the end of the show, but if you're in the Boston area, Trig and I are going out this afternoon to watch the games. A good buddy of mine owns Rosa Lions, and we're in South Boston. We are going to be down there drinking some Viva, whacking the game. So come and join us. Trig's going to take over for a second, do a little recap, and introduce a contest for this weekend.
All right, guys, listen, I see the comments. It's 11:07. You got to relax. Okay. We're getting to the games. We're doing that now. First, last week, I'm not going to bother recapping last week's show. I think it was pretty good, but we do have a contest. It's all 6 NFL sides. You got to pick all 6 NFL sides. If you go 6-0, you win Viva. If we don't have a 6-0, then we're going to take whoever's 5-1. We'll take the best record. We'll make sure someone wins the contest. Everyone had a great time with the contest last week. We had 5 winners. We gave out a bunch of Viva. It was a good time. So yeah, let's get right into it. Let's just jump into the big games. People want picks, and that's what we're here to give them. So
you had a nice one last night too. Why don't you touch on that?
Yeah, I see in the chat, Sienna was a winner for me. Yup, we got there with Sienna. Someone, you got lucky. They were down 18. Listen, they were a 5.5-point underdog. They won by 7. I don't know if that's lucky. I think they just had a good second half. Where's Drew Martin bets today? I have no fucking clue. I think he's at a wedding. We have no idea where. We don't know where any of our friends are. The Walrus is probably sleeping. Kelly's probably at her 17th football game of the season, and Drew Martin bets is at a wedding, I think. You know what? Actually, Chris Alexander says Marquette plus 1.5. Do you want to do big game breakdown first? Touch on that. Is that the game you were going to talk about?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that is. I'll go first. Yeah, and my big game breakdown is on Seton Hall at Marquette. I like Seton Hall today, -1. Hall has really struggled lately, losing 3 of their last 5 games, most recently to DePaul on Thursday night. They had a tough showing. Marquette's riding high right now, right? They're on a 3-game win streak. This is a team that I usually like to back as a home dog, being Marquette. Just not today. I think that Hall is going to rebound today off their loss to DePaul, kind of get right here. It's going to be a tough game on the road. But I think the defense for Seton Hall is going to play much better. They gave up, I think, 90 points the other night. This is a team that I've been very high on from the beginning of the year. Something interesting, Guns. I don't know if you saw this. That game versus DePaul, they scored 16 points in the last 43 fucking seconds. 16 and 43 seconds to cut the game to 2. Obviously, they still fell short. But I think it's a good spot. I think it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a close game. But I like Seton Hall Pirates -1 to get the day going. Game starts at noon. That's CT's big game breakdown. Trig, what do you got?
Yeah, well, I don't disagree with you. That ticked up to 1.5 at some of the sharper books, and it moved across 0. That's usually a decent spot to jump in. So we'll stay in college hoop. I'm going to go. This is one of my best bets today. I'm going out to the Pac-12, and I'm just going to probably continue to bet against Stanford until I get a win. That was ridiculous. So best bet, Washington Huskies. I took them at a pick. It might continue to creep up, so I would bet it now. But yeah, I took Washington Huskies at a pick. Listen, Stanford is playing their third game in 5 days. Tuesday, massive upset over USC. Thursday, they go up to Pullman, Washington. There's an hour and a half dick around before the game on COVID tests. We finally decide we're going to play. And Washington, what did they go? 14 minutes without a point in the second half?
I think
Washington
they scored
State.
like 8 points in the second half, something like that.
So Stanford's getting blown out, and Washington State goes a solid 13 minutes without scoring a point. Stanford gets the win. I just don't think that Stanford is capable of winning in this scenario. It's back-to-back road games. It's their third game in 5 days. Washington's getting better. This team was a disaster at the beginning of the year. They've won 2 of 3. Pretty impressive against Utah and Cal. Stanford is not a better team than Washington. I have these teams about equal. So if you're going to give me Washington on their home court, with Stanford having to come in and play their third game in 5 days, I think this is a very good spot for Washington. So I'm going to take the Washington Huskies at a pick for my best bet on the show today, or big game breakdown, whatever.
Big game breakdown from Adam Trigger on the Washington Huskies
yep.
over Stanford. CT big game breakdown going with the Seton Hall Pirates -1 over Marquette. Going to dish it off to my guy Guns here. I know you got something lined up. Where are you going big game breakdown, buddy?
I do, and I'm looking at the 12 o'clock slate. By the way, I like that Seton Hall pick. I did post that in the Slack channel that we have. So I'm actually looking at the Kansas State Texas Tech game. Now, I know Texas State Tech is on a absolute heater right now. They beat Kansas. They upset your Baylor Bears, CT.
Yep.
And then everybody really jumped on the sharp angle of taking Oklahoma State in a letdown spot. I didn't really trust that because of just how bad that offense is for Oklahoma State. I think this is the spot to take the fade of Texas Tech, the Red Raiders, and take Kansas State Wildcats +5 on this one. Listen, as far as the defense is concerned, Kansas State's defense is ranked 35th in defensive efficiency per KenPom. They're also ranked 24th in shot defense and 8th in defending the 3. So the defense is a little bit better, in my opinion, than Oklahoma State is, and they can shoot the ball a little bit better. They're about middle of the road as far as shooting is concerned, but I think they're playing at home. They're playing a Texas Tech team that is a little too high and mighty. Plus, there is a potential look ahead spot here. They did lose to Iowa State a few weeks ago, not a few weeks ago, a little over a week ago. And there is a revenge factor. They're playing them next on Tuesday. So I think this could be a look ahead to this spot. I like Kansas State here playing at home. I think they're going to be pumped up for this game. Texas Tech really didn't have any key wins non-conference. They lost to Providence, they lost to Gonzaga, and they beat Tennessee in overtime. So I think this is the letdown spot. I'm taking Kansas State, the Wildcats, +5 as the play.
I like it. That was a game I was looking at as well this morning. I will probably join you there on Kansas State. I'm going to let Trig take over a little bit here. We're going to kind of get into the live stuff, what you guys are asking for. If you have an opinion on any game, or you want an opinion on any game and our takes, fire away. Trig, what do we got so far here?
Yeah, so I'm just gonna continue to go through the chat. Alex Smith asks about Bengals. Why don't we touch on Bengals Raiders quick? The first NFL wildcard game. For me, I've really got nothing here, but I know I saw some sharp info on the total. I know Guns has an opinion on this game. So what do you see in the first wildcard game today, Guns?
So really, I don't really like the side on this one. I'm looking more towards the total. And the total that I like here, and I actually put this on the Guns NFL preview show, I like the under 48.5 in this spot. The weather is going to be 28 degrees by game time, and it's supposed to drop somewhere in the 20s, low 20s. Derek Carr, I know what they posted it on all over the media. Derek Carr during cold games, blah blah blah, in the environment. But as far as the points are concerned, they've only put up 17 points on average in those cold spots. And also you got to look at, I know they scored a lot of points last week trying to get into the playoffs. They put up 35 points. But if you actually look at the previous games, they only put up 15, 9, 16, 17, 23 in the previous games prior to the Chargers game. So you need two teams to actually score to get over the total in this spot. Plus, no one's really talking about Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, the last time he played, he hurt his knee, and no one's really talking about that. I haven't seen it in the injury reports. Maybe I'm overlooking this and probably making it more than what it needs to be. The T. Higgins is banged up. Josh Jacobs has got a rib injury. He's questionable. So there's injury factors in this one. Plus the pass blocking for Cincinnati is really bad. They're ranked 30th in the league as far as protecting the quarterback. They gave up 55 sacks this year with a 9.1% sack rate. And also, you got to look at January games. If you want to go with the trends, Cincinnati is 8-1 to the under in January games. So I think this is going to be a low-scoring game. I think it could be one of those close games. I mean, if you go to that 0-5 against the spread with Derek Carr, 4 of those games stayed within 7 points or less. So he is able to keep the game close. So I don't really want to take the side. It could be one of those things that it could be a 13-3 game, or it could be a 17-10 game, but I think it's going to be low. So I'm going to be taking the under 48.5 as a play.
Yeah. So I saw a couple of sharp groups play the under. I'm not a great totals handicapper, but if you're just looking for there's definitely sharp buying going on under the total in that Raiders Bengals game. So let's keep moving on. The Baylor game we're going to talk about in best bet, so I'll skip that. Michigan okay, bunch of money lines in a parlay right there. I'm going to skip that one for now. Maybe we'll come back to it. Let's see.
They want to know how you grew 6 to 7 inches. Well,
yeah,
Trig is sitting on a stool here in CT Sportsbook. Again, Drew Martin Betts and Kelly in Vegas are out of office, and we got Ryan Garland at GunzPicks filling in here.
So I got one. Someone posted LSU. I disagree with that. Arkansas is getting hammered by sharp money this afternoon. And I don't know. I mean, so I'm just going to go back to earlier in this week. Sharp bettors were pounding Florida against LSU. That didn't get there. Florida actually, I think Florida more or less lost that game than it really was LSU winning it. And it looks like, I'm just trying to, there is so many games today. It's hard to find this on the screen, but it looks like Arkansas is taking what I would consider to be very sharp money. So I don't know how much I love Arkansas here. At LSU, looks like the number 6.5, probably down to 6, 2 p.m. Eastern. I would be hesitant to lay 6.5 with LSU. I think if I was going to play that game, it would definitely be the Arkansas side. K-State, Texas Tech, we already covered it. I agree with K-State there.
Yeah,
and like Chris said, they were close for me. Maybe I'll even still bet it. It's too late for me to give that out, but I was right on the edge with that game. Let's see, Dayton -3. I gotta even find. Can we find the Dayton game?
Is the point guard for LSU going to be playing? Because that was kind of
Pinson. I think Pinson's back. Isn't he?
Is Pinson back?
I thought I read this morning that he was playing. And I got caught up doing shit for the show. And meant to check that, but I believe Xavier Pinson is playing today.
Yeah, and even if he right there still, I would still fade LSU laying that number. I just think that's that's just too many points for them to lay, in my opinion. Even if Pinson's back, I didn't see it. It was a game I kind of crossed that, you got so many games on a Saturday. I kind of said, okay, the number's probably right. I'll move on. But it's undeniable. Arkansas is getting hit by the sharp money. So if you subscribe to that theory, what I would say is I probably wouldn't play LSU. I guess I'll leave it at that. Dayton Duquesne. I kind of like Duquesne a little bit earlier in the week. They blew a halftime lead to Fordham. I think I'd be hesitant to back Dayton on the road. I believe they're laying points on the road. Probably, yeah, they're laying points on the road at Duquesne. I probably lean Duquesne in that one.
I noticed somebody in the chat put it as Xavier. As you know, they're asking a question about that one. I'm actually on Xavier.
Yeah, jump in.
Go
Jump
ahead,
in.
John. Love it.
Yeah, so they've lost 2 out of 3, but 2 out of 3 losses have been against Villanova. I think they're going to want to bounce back against Creighton at home. And I think the sharp action is going towards Xavier here. So I got it at -8.5. I take it to -9, -10. I just think they're going to blow them out. I mean, I don't trust Creighton as far as I can throw them. So I like Xavier there.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you on that one. Someone asked about the side in the Raiders-Bengals game. CT and I have been talking about this all week. We've got some conflicting info there. Walrus gave out Raiders and Wally's corner. CT and I kind of both lean Bengals, but I don't know that either of us are really interested in laying that number. So Guns gave a great breakdown on the under. I know that the under is getting a sharp buy, so I think that's the only thing I'll maybe dabble with in that early game would be the under. And go ahead.
No. If anything with the side on that one, I don't hate the Raiders on a teaser, because once you take a 6-point teaser on that one, that moves it past the 7 and the 10, and it gets you to 11.5.
Sure.
And I like that with like Tampa. Tampa is like -8.5. If you move that down to -2, I just envision that being one of those things that they're up 2 scores, and then there's a backdoor cover from the Eagles. I could see that, and it's already happened before this year with them. So I do think Tampa's going to win. I don't hate a teaser with like Tampa and the Raiders, two-teamer.
I did the same thing. So we're going to hit the other wild card games coming up here in a second, but I did a bunch of open teasers with Tampa -2.
Yeah.
I think tomorrow Tampa's actually might even be the right side, to be honest with you. I haven't got to the window on that one yet, but
the only thing I've personally bet so far in NFL playoffs is we talked about it on Wednesday's show. Bucks teased down to, I think I got 2.5, and I took the Niners up to 9 in a teaser. That's literally the only
like that
for NFL playoffs so far. Tough. These games, I have to say, like, this is, it's unprecedented that we get 6 games. These are difficult games. I'll probably jump in
for sure
tomorrow or Sunday, but the 2 games today are tough. Like they really are.
You almost have to wait like an hour before game time before you're actually locking into
agreed.
Stuff.
That's how I'm looking at the later game. I have an idea of what I might do, but I haven't actually fired on it yet. Auburn not going to cool down. They're going to cover tonight. I'd be hesitant to lay that number with Auburn coming off of that win over Alabama. I'm not saying that they're the wrong side. I do think Auburn's a really good team. Like, wrong side in terms of a matchup perspective, but I typically would not lay what is it, 8.5 on the road after winning against Alabama the way they did. So I'd actually lean the other way. I don't know that's more of just I think it's maybe a bad spot for Auburn. Yeah, someone else that I want to take, Arkansas against LSU. I like that. I think go ahead. I think it's the sharp side. I think it's a decent spot. Like I said, I was on Florida. I think a lot of, it seemed like Florida was like absolutely the sharp side earlier this week. They played horrible against LSU. So yeah, I do see, I think Arkansas is the right side. I don't know if I'll add it officially, but I definitely think it's the right side.
I know a lot of guys that I respect as far as college basketball handicap is concerned, and that's like one of their main plays is Arkansas.
Yeah,
so
that's
take it for what it's worth. But I passed on the game, but
someone said Trig is on Chris's lap. That's hilarious.
You look like you're in a high chair.
You know what? Chris has this like comfortable ass king chair here, and he brought in a wooden stool for me. That's
like, where you belong.
Yeah, it's awful.
Guns, I don't know if you have an opinion on this. Somebody asked me about the Michigan State Northwestern game. Look, Michigan State's been on fire. Northwestern has lost their last 4, I believe. I'm not in a rush to lay 7.5 with Michigan State. I'm also not in a rush to grab those points there with Northwestern. I think they have a lot of problems that they need to fix very quickly. So that's probably a pass for me. Guns, you got anything on that?
Yeah, it was a pass for me too. I did see the movement going towards the Northwestern direction, and I just didn't understand it. I mean, if you look at KenPom, I see it as like -9.
Yeah.
For Michigan State, if you give them a little home court advantage. But I have no interest in getting involved with taking Northwestern, so I'm passing.
That's what I was gonna say. So Northwestern has taken some money in probably like their last 5 games. I don't know who's like. I mean, it tends the number has moved toward the Northwestern side. Most notably, that game against Maryland moved quite a bit. Looked like it got steamed to Northwestern. That team sucks. Like that Northwestern team is god awful. So there's no way I'm betting them. I might not lay that number with Michigan State, but Michigan State last time out, they kind of had a scare against Minnesota, a team that I don't believe is very good. I think Michigan State, if they were going to have sort of their flat spot go through the motions, it was probably that game against Minnesota. You wouldn't be surprised at all if Michigan State just laid the wood today, won by 15-20. Like that wouldn't surprise me one bit. We talked about Xavier. Oh, Iowa State, Texas. I lean Iowa State there at home. I think, I haven't had a great beat on either of those teams this year, but I definitely lean toward Iowa State. I think they're
Iowa State at home
dog. There. Yeah, I would lean toward the Iowa State side there.
That was one I was looking at as well, Guns. Not sure if you got anything, but I like Iowa State in that spot too. That's a 2:00 Eastern game right before the Raiders and the Bengals kick off.
Couple people in the chat. Pinson is out today. That kind of makes sense, I guess, why Arkansas kind of got slammed.
Yeah.
I still like it either way. Arkansas, I said this on last week's show. They're a team, personally, I tend to not back them on the road. If you go back, there's a big-time home-road dichotomy with Arkansas over the last, decade. I don't know, forever, where they will smash teams at home, and they come out and look completely clueless on the road. Actually, we talked about it last week, and they went out. They looked like the right side last Saturday. They went out and lost to Texas A&M. So, but again, there's undeniable sharp action on Arkansas. So do what you will with that.
I always look at it like this: when they have a main player out, you usually take that team. I know that's like an NBA trend. You usually have one of your main stars out. You should just ride that team, because when you're game planning with that guy in the lineup. And if he just automatically is out, it kind of changes the dynamic of the team. The next week is usually a good time to fade him, especially if he's not playing in that game. That kind of makes me like Arkansas more, knowing that he's not going to be in the game, because I think that the residuals of that win over Florida is going to kind of trickle out, and they're going to have some regression in the next game. So maybe Arkansas is the right side. So I mean, the sharp money's probably the right take on that one.
I want to get into we'll continue with the chat a little bit, but I do have a small play today. I'm really not in love with this NFL wildcard weekend with anything. I mean, we'll get the best bets. There is one game that I have a really strong opinion on. I did play Cincinnati kind of small, -5.5 today. I feel like that Raiders team kind of blew their load last Sunday night in that must-win game. That was the craziest game I've ever seen. I can't believe it actually went to overtime. But I think there's I know a lot of sharp people that are on the Raiders +6.5. And if you got that number, that's great. I just think you're kind of getting a Cincinnati team that will be hungry here. Obviously, Zach Taylor did a great job. Joe Burrow's, he is a little banged up, like you said, Guns, but his press conference when he's like, I just throw the ball up and Jamar's down there somewhere.
Right.
And that's kind of like how this year has gone. And I could just see Cincy winning by more than a touchdown tonight, this afternoon, I should say. I think it's going to be a close game, but I like Cincy to pull away there. We got anything left in the chat here?
I'm trying to get to the last couple chat ones. I know people asked about Baylor. We're going to touch on that in best bets. We're going to touch on the Pats Bills game in best bets. Someone asked about Florida. Oh man, I mean that team, I guess
Florida is an absolute disaster.
They
in my
really
opinion.
are.
They're
Like,
playing South Carolina too. That's another disaster. Just
Yeah,
two
they
teams
are.
that
That's a
stink.
game I'm just like, I want nothing to do with.
It's
I mean,
bad.
as hard as it is to see Florida lose again, like I can't lay points with them on the road. I actually
No.
that game, you run far away from that game. I don't know. I don't have a bet there. I mean, like I was on Florida earlier in the week. When I lose with a game, I kind of like to try to come back with them the next game because I think there's usually value. But that was no, I'm gonna stay far away from that game. Ole Miss frustrates Auburn. Yeah, I think you would have to look to play Ole Miss in that game if you want to bet Ole Miss Auburn. You can't lay 8.5 with Auburn coming off of a win, the magnitude of that win. Goldie Smith, Alabama is suspect, so I stayed away. Yeah, I think Alabama has some issues. I actually think Mississippi State's probably the right side there. Kelly Stewart really likes Mississippi State today. I believe she gave that out as one of her plays. Agree with her on that.
She did.
Yeah, agree with her on that. Yeah, CT and I, as soon as we get off this, are going to probably bet Kansas State. That looks like what we're going to.
Yeah,
that looks like what we're going to be doing at noon.
What's the? Go ahead, Guns.
No, I actually I usually only bet like 1 unit per each college game, and I usually keep it consistent. This is actually my first 2-unit play of the college basketball season. So
it's growing on me. I keep I like it more than I did. Even when I looked last night or this morning, it didn't. The only reason I'm not going to add it to my official card is because it's 11:30. I'm not going to just fire out a play, 20 minutes before the game. I know people would miss it. But if you want, just if you're watching the show, I think Kansas State is a great bet. I think that's a bet you should make on college basketball today. All right. I think it's time for best bets.
Yeah, we're up against it here. Let's just briefly touch on the games tomorrow, Guns here. I haven't played anything besides, I'll talk about that in best bets, but I lean the Niners is getting the points, but it's getting a little too public for me. I'm not sure. I'm going to wait and see if I could get a 3.5. But I'm really not in a rush to back that Dallas team. I think that it's a great spot for Dallas to lose, in my opinion, right? So Jerry Jones, they're finally, have a decent season. They win that trash division. They got a home game. I kind of lean the Niners. They got a little healthier. Jimmy G looks like he's starting to throw the ball well. Deebo Samuel's been on fire. You got anything there, Guns?
I mean, I like the 49ers too. I mean, I'm looking at more from a strength of schedule standpoint. The Dallas offense is really overvalued. I know they're good. They got great weapons, but they've done it with, I think they got the 30th strength of schedule or something like that, where the 49ers are ranked 5th. You actually break it down to playoff teams. Dallas is 3-4 straight up versus the playoff teams that are in there right now, where San Francisco is 4-4. And then also the Dallas wins, 2 of them were the Eagles, and one was the Patriots game that went into overtime where they scored that backdoor OT touchdown that made me throw my control at my
Sickening.
TV.
Yep.
Sickening, because I was on the Patriots on that one. And then you look at the 49ers losses. They lost to Green Bay, Tennessee, and Arizona twice. So, I mean, I can't – when I look at the statistics, the point differential for the 49ers, everything's positive for them, where I just can't find an angle for Dallas. So maybe it's square, but I like the 49ers on the plus here.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. We're going to get in the best bets, guys. I know we missed a couple in the chat. There was a bunch of them. John Phillips, Big Daddy, want to know about Tennessee, Kentucky. CT and I lean Tennessee. We talked about it this morning. So that's right. You lean the Vols there?
I like them. Yeah, give me the points.
I like the Vols too, definitely.
Yeah.
Haven't got to the window on that yet, but yes, it scares me to back that Tennessee team on the road, but I think that's a few too many points there, and I'll grab that 4.5.
Yeah, I think that's the way to play it if you're going to play that game. Vols looks like Kentucky's the kind of the public side there. Vols getting that many seems like the value play. So I would lean Tennessee there as well. All right, best bets. I'll start it off. I gave out the Patriots as my best bet on Wednesday's Hustle Show. I still like them, probably not as much as I did Wednesday, but I'm going to go back to that game and give you a strategy for that game. I think if you bet the Pats and the over, you're at least hitting one of them. Possibly both. The reason is CT and I talked about this game for a while earlier. I think Belichick is going to throw the ball. I think he knows he can't possibly run and beat the Bills again. Obviously the first game was the freezing cold game where Mac Jones threw it 3 times. The second game, the Patriots still ran it pretty much ad nauseum. It didn't really work. I like the Patriots to have a more of a downfield passing type game plan. I think Bill's going to have some tricks up his sleeve. And if the Patriots do lose, I think it's because this Bills offense just overwhelmed them. So I think you're either, if the Pats get blown out or like they lose and don't cover here, I think there's a good chance it goes over. If the Pats are winning, I think it might be lower scoring, but it's still a good chance it could get there. It's not an extremely high total. So I'll go best bet for today over in the Patriots-Bills game in conjunction with my best bet from Wednesday on the Patriots. I think if you bet Pats and over, you're at least getting out with a split, hopefully 2-0.
All right, there's Adam Trigger on his best bets there. I am also on the Patriots. I haven't done anything with the total there. Obviously, Guns and I are big Patriots fans, and I'm going to dish it off to him in a second. But yeah, I like the Pats getting the points there. I think that this is kind of a game that Bill likes to have. Obviously, freezing cold. The Pats always play. The Pats always practice in the freezing cold. The Bills were inside practicing all week to keep their toesies warm. But I lean Patriots there. Guns, going over to you here. Where are you going for best bets?
I think we're gonna have a consensus quake here because my best bet is the Patriots +4. When I broke this down, I broke it down on my preview show, but I mean Buffalo is 1-4 straight, but who have they beaten? Atlanta, Carolina, the Jets. They beat up bad teams. But when they play actual playoff teams, they're not so good. Granted, yes, they beat the Patriots at Foxborough not too long ago, but if you actually look at this matchup between the Bills and the Patriots, the home team is 2-7 against the spread. So you usually, when you see those teams matched up, always take the road team. I think New England's going to have to establish the run here. That's kind of the weak point of this Buffalo defense. And if you actually look at the yards per carry versus the playoff teams, you can range from anywhere between 4.8 yards per carry to 5.5 yards per carry. And the last time the Patriots played them, even though they lost, they put up 5.5 yards per carry on the run. So I think they can really pound the ground game, get Mac Jones. I know taking rookie quarterbacks in playoffs, 11-33 straight up or something like that. I think that's what the trend is. But I think this kid's a little bit more poised. You have a veteran coach. You have a lot of veterans on that team that have played in the playoffs too. So it's a little bit of a different scenario here. So I think Mac Jones will be comfortable. He's won a national championship. I think they'll run the ball, get him comfortable, and then he'll just have some productive passes here and there and just kind of control the time of possession. That's going to be the key to the game, and I like New England +4 here.
All right, and we'll go over to the chat box here because Ron War says, because Kelly is actually smart. Well, just to let you know, Ron, Kelly told me that the Patriots would be lucky to win 6 games this year. I took $2K from her because I had the Patriots over, but you're right. Kelly is the smartest. We miss her today. Drew Martin Betts gave us a best bet. I will just read his analysis. He likes the Arkansas LSU under today. Arkansas head coach Eric Musselman will be out a few games due to a surgery from colliding with a player. Longtime NBA coach Keith Smart will be interim head coach for the 11th fastest tempo team in the country. Now with an NBA guy calling the shots, I really doubt they get faster. I bet they slow down. And on top of that, heading on the road to Baton Rouge against arguably the #1 defense in the nation, and this is considerably less possessions. LSU point guard questions as well, with senior point guard Xavier Pinson still day-to-day, which we just found out he is out. Mm-hmm. This will be a client play down to 140. Please use it as my best bet on the hustle. I miss you all, and I will be back on Wednesday night to host the hustle going into divisional round weekend. I have a best bet here, and Kelly left us a best bet. My best bet is in college hoops for tonight. Baylor -13.5. Talk about a team that has been struggling. Guns, you talked about this at the beginning. Oklahoma State has been a disaster of lately. They've lost 4 of their last 5. The two blowouts to West Vaughn Tech in the last 2. That Baylor D is not going to make it any easier for them. Bears have won 22 games in a row at the Farrell Center, and I expect them to bounce back from their first loss of the year on Tuesday to Texas Tech Adam Flagler, James Akinjo are absolute assassins shooting the ball. I don't know if anybody remembers this, but Oklahoma State has been ruled out of the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
It
looks like it's going to stick. I don't think they're going to.
I forgot that, Guns, until a couple of days ago, and I'm like, that's right. Like, they can't even play in the tournament. How much motivation is going to be there for
Zero?
Right. Zero. I usually don't like laying this big of a number in a college hoops game, but I'm going to have no problem getting to the window, laying that 13.5. I think Baylor is going to pull away very late and blow them out. And Kelly in Vegas, because she's the smartest, Ron, she is actually her best bet is Baylor as well.
That is smart. She's tailing you.
She didn't have an analysis. I had the analysis. Kelly just says Baylor minus 13.5. That is our best bets of the week. We will be back on Wednesday night. Drew Martin Betts will be here to host. Kelly Stewart will be back. Again, remember, we are sponsored by Viva Tequila Seltzer. Viva is a refreshing and drinkable hard seltzer. 88 calories, Guns. I know they just signed on with you. They're going to be sponsoring your podcast. So looking forward to that. 88 calories, 0 carbs, 0 sugar. Viva is the perfect drink for your post-game celebrations, as it was created with the active lifestyle in mind. Again, Trig and I will be in South Boston today, bouncing around Stats, Rosa Lyons, Lincoln. We'll tweet where we are. Come meet us. We'll buy as many Vivas as you want. We can watch the games together. We'll trash the place. We're going to be coming back in an Uber to CT Sportsbook to watch the Patriots game so I don't get arrested.
Then we're going to trash the place.
Then we're going to trash my house. Guns, it was an absolute pleasure having you on. You are welcome anytime that you want. We'll be back on the Dad Pod podcast, both of us. Looking forward to it today. Good luck with all your bets. For myself, Guns, Adam Trigger, we are the Hustle Show Pod. Guns is firing. Hopefully I'll be doing the hula. Good luck to everybody, and we'll be back on Wednesday, 6 p.m.